right. Good morning, LifePointe Church. You had a quick treat right there because you got to get a glimpse of my OCD self right there because I got up here and that thing felt a little too close, so I had to move it over. So you're welcome. There's a little bit about me. My name is Andy, and I'm OCD. So, but thank you all so much for being here with us. Labor Day weekend. I know some of you all are here. Thank you for being here. Some of you are not here and you're online because you're out of town or at the lake or whatever like that. So thank you all, regardless, for being here with us, hanging out with us, doing life together as we strive to grow in our relationship with Jesus to become more and more like Him, which is what we're about every time that we're together. So last week we kicked off this new message series, right, called To Be Wise. And it's a study of the book of Proverbs. And the book of Proverbs is rather large. So to try to condense that down into 5 weeks is very challenging. But we're really focusing on some main topics. And we're specifically looking at some of the characteristics, qualities, as well as some of the attributes that we find within this book of what a wise person looks like. Essentially, what it looks like to be wise. And each week, I really want to kind of just give a quick recap of the book of Proverbs as a whole, just so that we start each week with a good foundation. And so, again, the book of Proverbs is found in the Old Testament. There's 31 chapters, and it's written by at least 3 individuals, with King Solomon writing the majority of it, pretty much all but maybe a couple chapters. And this book, named Proverbs, you probably guessed it, whether or not you've read it ever, that it's full of proverbs, right? That kind of self-explanatory. But proverbs are these just little short, witty sayings that typically, they pack a punch, right? It might be a sentence, just a few words, but man, it's full of truth and insight and wisdom. And within this book, man, we can find pretty much every life topic imaginable. Everything that we need to navigate life, we can find in these 31 chapters, from family, right, to work, to what it looks like to be a good neighbor, friendship, our relationships, right, our character, financials, debt, sex, marriage, parenting, forgiveness, right, our temperament, justice, poverty. It's all there. Everything that we face in life today is sitting in this book, and there's proverbs for it. It's guidance, and it's wisdom. And what I appreciate so much about how Solomon wrote this book is that right out the gate, he lets us know exactly what the reader should expect. He kind of lays out right in the beginning, here's the purpose of this whole chapter. So when we read these first 7 verses, we can kind of tune in and lock into exactly where we're going in this book. So again, I'm going to read these first 7 chapters. Buckle up, right? No, it's these 7 verses. So we're going to start Proverbs 1, starting in verse 1, the very beginning of this book. It says, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, right? Just saying, that's who I am. It says, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, in justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance, to understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and the riddles. And then comes verse 7, which kind of acts as this critical key verse in understanding this entire book. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So Solomon wants the readers to be wise. We today need wisdom. I said it last week, but man, we are living in a day and time where knowledge is at all-time high, right? We know a lot. We know, honestly, too much. Our brains are on overload all the time. And it creates a lot of problems because we have way too much knowledge on things. So knowledge is on the rise, an all-time high. But wisdom is honestly at an all-time low, which then creates a problem. It creates this friction and tension and stress and anger and all the things that we see bubbling up in our society and culture today. It's because we have knowledge. We've put knowledge on the pedestal, not wisdom. Traded wisdom in for just knowledge, which leads to problems every single time, because the reality is that there's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. A lot of times they get lumped in together, but they're two totally separate things. Knowledge is about what you learn, right? You gain knowledge, you learn something new, you have knowledge on that topic, right? But wisdom is what you actually do with what you've learned. See, because if I learn all kinds of things, if I read the book of Proverbs and there's all these just great words of wisdom, but all I do is have a head knowledge of it and I never put it into action, it's pointless. It's worthless. Honestly, that's all of Scripture. You could memorize the entire Bible, word for word, but if you never applied it, it was pointless. It never changed you. You never converted knowledge into true wisdom. Wisdom is about what you do with what you know. So as we go through this study, as we continue to look in the book of Proverbs, and as you continue to hopefully read it on throughout your life, we always need to remember that this is not about obtaining knowledge, but rather wisdom. It's putting this into action. Proverbs gives us these critical life skills that we need to live in God's creation, because it's not always easy. It's not easy at all. But we get this beautiful roadmap on how to live with wisdom. But like I said a second ago, we need verse 7, right? Solomon gives us this list, or this just introduction of here's the purpose, but then comes verse 7. And verse 7 is so critical. It's kind of like the passcode that unlocks like the secret to actually having wisdom. And he says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord. It's not about being terrified, freaked out, and scared like God's this angry judge, a big bully on the anthill, like Bruce Almighty fans. I don't know if you've seen that, and I'm an ant, he's trying to burn off my feelers. Not that kind of fear of God, but a reverence and awe and respect of the fact that he is God. He created all things. He is in all things. He can do all things. He knows all things. And we're just a small little piece in this world. So it's putting him at his rightful place as Lord and knowing where we belong. And that's not like self-hatred kind of stuff. That's just saying, I'm not God. Not even close. So I need to submit to his leading and his teaching and allow my life to be committed to him and follow him and reflect his love and his light. That's what it means. So basically, wisdom is rooted in your relationship with God. When you fear the Lord, it allows you the opportunity, the ability to convert your knowledge to wisdom. Because without him, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to take some of these principles, especially some of these characteristics that we talked about last week and that we're going to talk about today, and actually put them into action. We need God to be able to do that. So it's the fear of the Lord, our connection to him, which allows us to actually be wise. And so to help us kind of lead and work through this book, Solomon gives us this beautiful picture, right, of what a wise person looks like. He really spells it out in a lot of these different proverbs. So there's all these proverbs, but within that, we can see these attributes and these traits of what a wise individual looks like. And that's really what we're focused on. And throughout this series, we're looking at character, the character of the wise, the relationships of the wise, and the words of the wise. And last week, we kicked things off by looking at some of the attributes, right, and the characteristics when it comes to the character of the wise. And we talked about someone that is wise is someone that is teachable, right? Not resistant. To be wise means like to be righteous and not wicked. Doesn't mean you're perfect, but it means you focus on righteousness, not wickedness. And to be wise means that you're loving and not hateful. Something that a lot of Christians need to hear today. This is what a wise individual looks like. And if you missed that, you can always go back, check it out on our Facebook page or our YouTube page, on our website. You can find them all there. Go back, check it out. It was a good time. Today we're continuing on with looking at the characteristics, or the character of the wise. And we're looking at some of those characteristics and those traits and those attributes. Again, there were so many of them. I wanted to put it into 2 weeks. I didn't want to try to like jam pack it into 1 week. So we looked at 3 last week. We're going to look at 3 today. And so the first one that we're going to look at today, or the fourth one overall, is that to be wise means to be humble and not proud. To be wise means to be humble and not proud. And if I'm being completely honest, right? If I take an honest assessment of the American church today, and I think about it from the viewpoint of, are we humble or are we proud as a whole? I think we're missing the mark at times. I think a lot of Christians have missed the mark. I think I miss the mark from time to time. This isn't like Andy pointing the finger at everybody else and other churches and other Christians and this and that. No, I think as a whole, we miss the mark. And we miss the mark and we become proud when we're not walking with Jesus. Because again, it's the fear of the Lord that allows us to be wise. So we have to remain connected with Him in order to actually be humble. But see, there's a lot of Christians that they're proud of their knowledge, right? They're proud of the fact that they think they have all the right answers. That was my least favorite thing about being in Bible college. Like, it was like this, place, that's what I'm going to say very nicely. This place where, everyone thought they knew everything. There were students, arguing with professors. It drove me crazy. I'm like, this dude has committed his life to theology, right? And this 19-year-old kid's going to argue with him over predestination or whatever it might be. Dude's like, dude, just be wise and listen. Learn, even if you disagree. But the pride was constantly bubbling up. Proud of our knowledge, proud of the fact that we live the right way, proud of identifying and calling out all the sins of everybody else. Man, we just see a lot of pride. A lot of pride. And it's pushing people away from God left and right. Because we're not humble. Pride is kind of running rampant, yet when we look at God's word, we find that there is absolutely no room for pride in the kingdom of God. If you are connected to Jesus, right? If you are a Christ follower, pride should not be in existence. Period. James said that God despises the proud. He despises the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Stark contrast right there. Despises the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Through the prophet Jeremiah, the Lord said, "Let not the wise man boast in his wisdom." You see, even when we obtain wisdom, we're not to boast about it. Because then it would be the opposite, right? Then you really don't have wisdom if you're boasting about it. We're not to be full of pride. And then Proverbs, right? It's where we're studying. Proverbs 16, verse 18. Solomon says this. He said, Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. How many of y'all have heard this saying, pride comes before a fall? I was taught that, religiously in high school. I have a good basketball game, and, I was feeling good about myself, and my coach would be like, pride come before a fall. Thanks, coach. Way to build me up. But it's true. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Have you ever wondered why or how, these celebrities or these political leaders or these high-level public figures, or dare I even say pastors, how they end up doing something just completely outlandish, right? Like they screw up big time, they do something horrific, and you're like, dude, what in the world were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking? Man, we all see this happen all the time, and it happens, honestly, each case is different, and it happens for a variety of reasons, but I can guarantee you that pride is in there somewhere as one of those reasons. You see, people get to the point where pride becomes so strong that they're consumed with it, and they become so arrogant, man, that they think the rules don't apply to them. They think that it's all about them. They believe that they're untouchable. That is until they realize that they are. They learn the hard way. Because pride comes before destruction. It's like a prerequisite to disaster. That's how strong and toxic pride is. Just a thought experience. I want you to take a second. I want you to clear your minds of everything else that you've got running through there, because I know, you're probably thinking about a lot of different things, because that's just life. And you might already be bored with me. That's okay. I still love you. But I want you to clear your mind of everything else, right? And I want you just to think about the people in your life, and if you can, like, pull a name into your head, but the people in your life that you have the most respect for. Think about the people or that person in your life that's had the most positive impact on your life. Or maybe the person or the people that you go to, like when you're struggling and you need advice. Just take a second and think about some of those people, or just maybe one person. Now, are those people that you're thinking of, that person, are they arrogant? Prideful? Or are they actually humble? I would venture to say that at their core, that they're probably a pretty humble person. Confidence and pride is a different thing, so don't get that twisted. But those people that have the impact in your life, those phenomenal leaders, those people that have spoken to your life, that encourage you, that you trust more than anything, they're humble. That's what is attractive. That's what draws you to them. It's because they don't think that they're the stuff. They're humble. They're encouraging. They lead with humility. This is why Solomon says in Proverbs 18:12, he said, before destruction, a man's heart is haughty, right? Like we just read. But humility comes before honor. And in Proverbs 22:4, the reward for humility and the fear of the Lord is riches, honor, and life. Humility precedes honor. Pride precedes destruction. A wise individual is a humble individual because they fear the Lord. They know their place in this world. And so they seek Him. And as a result, they're able to live with humility. If you really want to be like Jesus, right? As Christ followers, that should be our goal. One of our goals is to be like Christ. And if we really want to be like Him, and if we really want to be on mission with telling as many people about Him as possible with our word and our deeds and the way we live our life, it's not going to happen through pride. It's not going to happen by you putting your pride and your knowledge and I'm right and you're wrong on display. No, it's going to happen through humility and love and encouragement. Doesn't mean you don't have hard conversations. Doesn't mean you sugarcoat the truth. But you're humble in your approach. You're humble in your spirit. You're humble in your life. To be wise means to be humble, not proud. The second attribute or trait that we're checking out today as it relates to the character of the wise is that to be wise means to be self-controlled, not impulsive. The wise are self-controlled, not impulsive. Now, I don't know about you all, but for me personally, when I'm not connecting with Jesus on a daily basis, this is a struggle. It's a struggle. Self-control is not my jam when I'm not walking with Jesus. I'm a little more impulsive. My filter, what little filter I have, dissipates, and it's not good. That's why I need all the Jesus I can get to help me to be wise, to be self-controlled, not impulsive. And when I say self-controlled, this means self-controlled in all areas and aspects of your life. This means being self-controlled in person, but it also means being self-controlled online. Hello. We have to be self-controlled in any and every area. It's a recent phenomenon, like in grand scheme of history, but it's been going on for a while. But there you meet these people. It blows me away. Like, you meet them face to face first, and they are like the sweetest, most self-controlled, just calm presence. Just incredible people. You're like, man, they're legit. And you friend them on social. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, they're not so self-controlled online. Keyboard warrior city, right? They're just going off on everybody. It happens. But we've got to be self-controlled in every aspect of life. Or we have people that are the opposite, right? And they're not even on social media. But, bro, they're like buck wild. They have no self-control, blowing up over everything. The wise are self-controlled. Proverbs 17:27 says, a truly wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even-tempered. Man, right there is a convicting verse for me. Straight up, I'll own it. I'll own it. But the wise men are careful with their words. They actually think before they speak. It would solve a lot of problems in a lot of people's lives if they just thought before they spoke. They're even-tempered, right? They're chill. They don't really get too worked up, like for real, one way or the other. In general, like they're even-tempered. Proverbs 29 verse 11 said, fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold it back. Note here that it doesn't say that the wise are never angry, because that's not true. Getting angry, righteous anger, or just getting frustrated or whatever, that's not, we're not saying wise people don't do that, but again, it's a knowledge versus wisdom. Wise people take their knowledge of how they're supposed to act when they're angry and they apply it. It's about what they do with their anger and what they don't do with their anger. They don't explode, right? They don't flip out. I think about the movie Inside Out. The little red guy that's anger, like he's at the board and he's like pushes it forward and flames fly out of his head. That's what I think about whenever I read that verse. Like, they vent their anger. That's what that cat was doing, right? But rather, the wise don't do that. Man, they hold it back. Now, they deal with it. Doesn't mean they suppress it. No, they deal with their anger and their frustration or whatever that issue is, but they do it in a time and a place that's appropriate, when they're in a good spot, when they actually can calm their brain down and think about it. That's how the wise handle their anger. Proverbs 13:16. Wise people think before they act, fools don't. Man, they even brag about their foolishness. They think before they speak, but they also think before they act. Again, solve a lot of our problems. To be wise, right, means to be self-controlled, not impulsive. And the final attribute or trait that we're going to discuss today and look at here in the book of Proverbs as it relates to the character of the wise is that to be wise means to be forgiving and not vindictive. Forgiving, not vindictive. Now, I told you that I struggle with self-control when I'm not walking with Jesus. This one, honestly, I do pretty good at, unless I'm behind the wheel of my car on the expressway. Then for some reason, forgiveness flies out the window, and I become very vindictive, especially when that person's like riding my butt, so they're just like constantly riding. I can't go nowhere in front of me. Then they fly around me, take off, shave off my bumper, then keep doing that. I struggle to forgive them. I become vindictive because I typically say something very hateful like, man, I hope there's a cop up ahead and they get a ticket. I will laugh so hard when I get up here and they're pulled over. I'll probably honk my horn and point and wave because I'm a jerk like that sometimes. Because I don't have self-control and I'm not walking with Jesus. See the cycle here? Gosh, I got to work on wisdom. But seriously, the wise, right? They're forgiving. They're forgiving. Forgiveness can be extremely difficult. I get that. I acknowledge that. I understand that. It is not always easy to forgive. If we're being honest, sometimes it's not even that it's just that it's hard to forgive. Sometimes we just don't want to forgive. Like we can't even get to the place in our own spirit and heart where we want to even entertain the thought or the idea of forgiveness because it's difficult. Man, there's some of you here today that's watching online, man, that you've been through some things. You've been through some traumatic things and some hurt and some pain. Maybe for you, somebody just seriously wronged you. Maybe somebody hurt you incredibly bad. Maybe whether it was through they abused you physically or emotionally. Maybe you were neglected at some point. Maybe you were lied on. Maybe someone threw you under the bus in the middle of an important meeting. It was detriment to your career. Maybe someone stole something from you. Maybe someone said that they were going to be there, right? That they had your back no matter what. But then they abandoned you at the point in time that you needed them the most. Maybe it's that they hurt somebody or said some things about somebody that you love. It's just struggle to forgive. And I get it. It's something that we all have to wrestle with because we're not perfect. And I don't know every situation that's in the room or that's online, but maybe you're struggling with forgiveness. If that's where you're at, I'm going to tell you right now, it's something that you have to focus on. You've got to begin to work through because it's going to lock up different aspects of your life and your ability to move forward. It's like this wall that if you can't get through that and begin to forgive, you're just stuck. It does more damage to you than anybody else. You think about I want to be vindictive, I don't want to forgive them, but you're not hurting them, you're hurting you. But it's so challenging, right? It's difficult. We don't want to forgive sometimes. But that's why we need Jesus. That's why it's the fear of the Lord that leads to knowledge and wisdom. Because on our own, we don't want to forgive. But with Him living in and through us, right, wisdom is possible. And if wisdom is possible, then forgiveness is possible because the wise are forgiving. Proverbs 19, verse 11 says, good sense makes one slow to anger. See, there's that self-control again, right? Good sense makes one slow to anger. And check this out. It is to his glory to overlook an offense. How many of you all struggle to overlook an offense? Be honest. Right. Only a few people, man. Y'all are some strong people. Or you're asleep. Probably a little bit of both. But it's to his glory. To his glory to overlook an offense. To forgive. Let's keep it moving, right? Proverbs chapter 24, verse 29 says, do not say, I will do to him as he has done to me. I will pay the man back for what he has done. And then chapter 20, verse 22, in the similar note says, do not say, I will repay evil. He says, wait for the Lord, and he will deliver you. The wise are not vindictive. They're not trying to settle the score, because that's a futile battle. It's never going to end. The wise are forgiving, not vindictive. So we need to just leave it in God's hands, because honestly, he will make all things right. Not us. He's the judge, not us. I think one of the hardest things to think through at times is that the fact that when we think about following God and obeying his commands, we're only responsible to obedience, right? We're responsible for doing what God leads us to do. We're not responsible for the results. The results are in his hand. So if he's leading us to forgive this person, that's what we have to do. Whether they receive it, whether they change, whether anything different happens, that's not on us. We are responsible for being forgiving, not vindictive. So we have to trust him, because it's not easy. We have to seek his face, because it's not easy. But when we do this, man, he will eventually deliver you from that hurt and from that anger. He'll lead you into a position, into a place where forgiveness is possible. And it may not happen overnight. Honestly, it's probably not going to happen overnight. It's going to be some work that you're going to have to do. And depending on maybe what area of your life or how intense this hurt or this pain was, you need to seek God's face. You also might need to go to therapy. You need to talk to some other people. That's okay. That's part of the process. That's how we should operate. But first and foremost, we have to be seeking him, because he'll lead us into that place and put us in that position to where we can actually begin to forgive. Because to be wise means to be forgiving, right? Not vindictive. So just like last week, as we covered 3 and then we wrapped things up, I want to challenge you and encourage you again. I want you to put your own character under the microscope again this week. And I hope that you did that last week. I hope that was fruitful and beneficial for you, that you kind of worked through some of these things and kind of looked at your life compared to what the wise individual looks like. And I want you to compare them, not in a way like this comparison game or to feel guilty and feel shame and all that, because as I've said up here and told you, like, I'm not perfect in this. When I put my life and my character under the microscope, I see flaws. I see fractures. I see tears. I see areas that need repair. But the reality is we have to understand that. We have to pay attention to that, and then we take that to God so that we can allow him to begin to fix those problems, to repair the damage that we have done. So put your life and your character under a microscope as it relates to these characteristics of a person of wisdom, of their character, right? Ask yourself, man, are you humble? Are you humble? Or are you led with pride? Ask yourself, are you self-controlled in all areas? Or are you a bit of a loose cannon? Or maybe you're self-controlled in these areas of your life and you've got that on lock, but this one spot over here, kind of a mess. Give that to God. Begin to do the work. Seek wisdom, not knowledge, wisdom. And ask yourself, honestly, are you forgiving? Are you forgiving? Are you more vindictive in nature? Are you thinking about those people that wronged you and hoping they get a ticket? Or worse? As I said last week, if you've been in church for any length of time, or just if you're a good person in general, you know the right answers to these. You know what to say. You have the head knowledge of to say, yeah, I'm humble. Being proud and boastful, no one likes that. Humility is where it's at, right? Need to be self-controlled, right? I need to be forgiving. We know all those things. But it's time for us to move past just knowledge and embrace wisdom. Wisdom is putting that knowledge to action. So do the work this week Spend some time maybe in these verses. If you didn't write them down, whatever, you can catch them back online. If you'd like, I'd send them all to you. It's fine. No worries. I got you. But spend some time in this area looking at the character of the wise and see the work that you may need to do and in what areas. And give that to God. Fear the Lord in a healthy way, right? And allow him to lead you on that path, moving beyond knowledge and into wisdom. Let's pray. Jesus, we come to you this morning. We're just so thankful that you love us, that you have forgiven us, that you give us grace and mercy in the areas where we're just flawed and we're imperfect, that you encourage us, that you lift us up. I'm thankful that we have your truth in these scriptures, Lord, in your word. We can read a book like Proverbs and be encouraged, have this like roadmap for living life and living with wisdom. Things that will not only allow us to grow closer to you, not only to see things that will allow us to better reach people with the good news of the gospel, but just also, Lord, that it will just improve our life. Jesus, we thank you for that you care about us that much, that you provided and give us this truth. And as we go through this time where the team will be playing here in a second, and we have this moment to reflect, Jesus, may we actually take the time, be bold enough to ask you, what areas of our life, what areas of our character need improvement? They need to be looked at, need to be surrendered to you. Jesus, may we actually do that work and hear what you have to say, and then move it from knowledge to wisdom and put it into action. As we continue kind of in this spirit of prayer and this time of reflection, maybe you're here or you're watching online and you've never really given your life to Jesus. Got a lot of questions, or maybe you've never been to church but a few times, or you've been to church your whole life, but you have this moment where you just have questions. Never given your life to Jesus. If that's you, I want to just encourage you this week, don't think about character, or even now, don't think about that. Just think about where your relationship was with Jesus and whether or not you truly have one. Whether you've stepped over that line of faith from just knowing about God or believing in him. See, Scripture says in Romans 10:9 that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God rose him from the grave, that you'll be saved. So coming into a relationship with Jesus, right, being connected to him, first starts with confession and believing. Confessing that you're not perfect, that you have flaws, and that you need a Savior. And believing that Jesus is the one and only person. He's it. He's the Son of God. He is who he says he is. And he came to do what he said he came to do, which was take your place on that cross. Took on your guilt, your shame, and your sin. He did that for you because he loves you. And we can be forever connected to him just by confessing, believing this. There's no special magical prayer or anything like that you have to come forward or anything like that. Just right where you're at, you can just call on his name, however he leads you, through confessing and believing. If you have questions about that, I'm here for you. Jen's here for you. Anyone on our team would love to have a conversation with you. If you're online, shoot us a direct message and we'll chop it up. We're here for you. But first and foremost, lock in that relationship with Jesus, because that is the beginning, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Knowledge then moves to wisdom, but it starts with him. But maybe you are a Christ follower, and when you looked under the microscope last week at your character, or heard some things this week that we talked about, you realize that you have some of those deficiencies. It's all good. We all do. None of us are perfect. And if you think over these 6 characteristics of the character, right, of a wise person, if you think you're locked in on all of those perfectly, then you need to go back to number 4 because your pride is out of control. We all have work to do. Spend some time this week and just ask Jesus to reveal those things to you. And he's not going to shame you with it, so don't shame yourself. Just own it. Do the work. Put it into action. Be wise. So Solomon, that's why he wrote this book, for you to be wise. That's why God inspired him to write it, because he wants us to be wise. So do the work. We're here to help you along the way. Jesus, again, we love you and we thank you. I pray that you would just speak truth over each person that's here, that's watching online. Lord, as they begin to seek your face and try to understand what areas of their character need some correction and they just need to implement some wisdom, Lord, may they rely on you to do that. May they hear your voice and may they take action. May I do the same, Jesus. May we all continue to be more like you and run in the direction of wisdom. In your name we pray.
Fullness of eternal promise, stirring in your sons and daughters, earth revealing heaven's wonders. Spirit come, Spirit come. What you spoke is now unfolding. All your children shall be holy. Dreams awaken in this moment. Spirit come, Spirit come. Pour it out, let your love run over. Here and now, let your glory fill this house. Pour it out, let your love run over. Here and now, let your glory fill this house.
All right, as we continue on with our worship through our tithes and our offerings, here at LifePointe Church, there's a few different ways that you can give. If you're here in person, you can give on your way out. There's a table right out in the middle of the lobby with some envelopes and a basket. You can just drop it in there, and we'll get it all taken care of. Or you can go online to our website. Top right-hand corner is an online giving button. Or you can go to our Church Center app, which I think is the easiest and the fastest way. It's the way that I give. If you sign up for our Church Center app, at the bottom of the app is a place that says give. You click it, set it up, it's good to go. Each time it's pretty easy, it's pretty smooth. So if you have questions about that, or you're not, tech savvy and you need help, I'm here for you. I can help you with that and get you set up with it. But however you choose to give, we're just so thankful that you're on mission, just giving back a portion of what it is that God has blessed you with. And we're committed, again, like I say every week, to really take that, to try to reach more people, love more people, and just to do what God has called us to do. So we thank you for being a part of that mission. If this is your first time here, whether in person or online, if you want to get connected, you can fill out a digital connection card by texting the word connect, right? So the number 502-236-9446. So shoot the word connect to that. It'll send you a link back to fill out the digital connection card, get you into our system. We get some text alerts and things like that. So, and again, if you haven't gotten to the Church Center app, I encourage you to do that. There's group sign-ups, there's giving, just any information, links to messages on our YouTube. It's all there. So go check that out. It's central hub. It's really easy. So also, the final thing I will say is our women's life group kicked off this past Thursday. From what I heard, it was amazing. It's a women's life group. I was not allowed to come. But yeah, they had a great time, and there's still spots available. So if you want to get signed up for that, go to the Church Center app or talk to me. You can reach out to us online, or you can get with Terry if you're here in person. We still have some of the books together, so we're ready to go. So if you want to join that, check it out. If you're interested in joining another group, let us know. We want to get some more started, but we're looking for those that are interested to jump in. So we're ready to kick them off if you're ready to get into it. So let me know if you're interested in getting in a life group so we can continue to connect, not just Sundays, but throughout the week. So other than that, I love you guys. We'll see you next week as we continue on with this series. Have a great week, and we'll see you online. All right, thank you all so much for being here with us once again for LifePointe Online. If this is your first time here with us, thank you all so much for being here and hanging out with us and checking out LifePointe Church. If you'd like more information, or if you have any questions, you could either drop a comment below, or you can visit us on our website or any of our social media platforms. And if you have questions, just go ahead and ask, and someone from our team will get back with you as soon as we possibly can. Also, if you want to continue to worship with your tithes and your offerings, or if you just simply want to give to LifePointe Church, you could head over to our website. It's lpc502.com. In the top right-hand corner is an online giving button. If you click it, it takes you to a safe and secure place where you can give. You can also begin to text to give by texting the amount that you want to give to the number 84321. But however you choose to give, we're just so thankful and humbled by the fact that you're on mission and that you're giving back just a portion of what it is that God has blessed you with. Again, thank you all so much for being here with us today. We hope that you'll join us in connecting and doing life online throughout the week. And until next Sunday, we'll see you later. Have a great one.